Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the part number 1 of the brand new track from scratch, Modular Electro. I don't know what I'm calling it, but it's going to be Electro, and using the modular stuff, which you can see. Look at all the modular stuff. So much modular stuff. Whee! Anyway, so the purpose of this particular track from scratch is that I wanted to make a track that used predominantly modular things. I almost went hard and said that I was only going to use the modular stuff for everything, including mixing. But I don't actually have enough of the gear that I want to be able to do that. At least in a way that would be not unimaginably boring to watch. I also was going to go hard to be like, only sounds all were made with the things. Like, I would make the sounds and mix it, including percussion. And I've had some luck making kicks using the modular stuff, because that's pretty easy. But not so much making snare, and I didn't want there to be, like, literally 10 entire parts of me just being like, click, bang, 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 nah, bang, 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 for literally 10 videos. So while I am going to dig around a little bit with doing percussion, I'm not going to try super hard, and if I don't get any results pretty immediately, I'm just going to start using regular stuff. So basically what's going to happen is that, barring the percussion, all of the sounds will originate from the modular stuff, and then will be integrated into FL as recordings, and they'll be mixed and mastered using FL, and I might even do some post-processing sound design using FL. But for the most part, it will at least all have been originated from L modular. That kind of stuff. I basically just want to spend more time using the thing, so that's what we're doing. All right, and here we are at the beginning with nothing of anything anywhere, and I got to be really conscious of where things are on the screen because of where the modular thing is. Yeah, it's because it's very large. It's a lot larger than my normal face cam is, so people can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so let's explain how this rig is going to work. So like the sort of to introduce the modules I have, this thing, and this thing are essentially your oscillators. These are your generators, right? And then if this is a filter, this is a filter, this is a distortion. This is actually a wave shaper that works more or less like you'd expect a wave shaper to work. And we can do a lot of cool things with that. We'll talk about. This is a delay module. It's really funky. It's what's called a BBD delay. Stands for bucket brigade delay. It's analog, and it doesn't react any of the way you'd expect it would for a delay to work. This is just an output, and this is another funky kind of like 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, essentially adapter thing, module. The way that this works is that this goes out into insert 12. I'll just put here. Insert 12, and this is how we get audio into the DAW. So like whatever patch I'm going through ends here and goes out to the DAW. I'm going to turn all these down. This guy is a little bit more complicated. This person's like the way the whole modular stuff works, it requires a lot of specialized signals that will normally be generated by modules. However, I don't have those modules because it's expensive and there's a lot of them. Like you need gates, you need triggers, the same thing. You need sequencers and attenuators and not attenuators. Not attenuverters, quantizers, yeah. Because quantizing means something different in analog world. So, well, let's actually do something basic, just sort of demonstrate what I'm talking about. Like I say, if I wanted to use this, the oscillator, I could take the out, I could take, say, the square out, and just stick it into one of these inputs over here. And I can turn this the hell down because it's a square and it's going to be loud. And if I just turn it up, I just whack the camera. Good job, camera. That's the CV out. This is just a... There it is. Square, yo. So it's important to note that doing nothing, an oscillator is pretty much always on. The second you power it on, it's putting out signal, right? So if I turn it up, there it is. And then big old pitch knob. And we have other various like fine tuning, FM if there's FM input, and also pulse width modulating for the saw, which is badass. But what if I want to like control it with MIDI? My MIDI keyboard. What if I want to control it with MIDI freaking in FL? What if I want to control it? What if I want to have like a, note on off kind of thing? How the hell does that work? So it's actually still the same process. We put it into this thing. This thing, the official name for this thing is a VCA, which stands for Voltage Controlled Amplifier. And what was I talking about? So essentially we're going to use this thing to be the note on off like controls like direction. Not necessarily the control source, but that's where it's going. To make this work, we're gonna get us. This would be the smartest way to do this. Channel 2. Okay. We have to configure some things in here. So I'm gonna get me a plugin called Expert Sleepers. Silent Way. And is it gonna work if I do this? Nope. There's actually kind of a problem with it. But plugin, no. Wait, so how do I do this? It doesn't see if I go in here, I go to more. I can just do this. This is a silly trick I learned from Porter Robinson, actually. Yay, okay, it works. Some plugins don't work. I kind of blame that on FL, but whatever. So this thing takes MIDI and conditions it in a couple of different ways. It's really small. I apologize for that, but the first thing we're going to do is actually tune the oscillator. Wait a second, I gotta move my shit on my keyboard because I'm an organized person. Okay. So now I'm coming in here, and MIDI is being triggered from here into here. That works out. I suppose I have to actually do this. Import. There we go. 0. There it is. So you can kind of see this little blue dot moving around, and that's essentially tracking my keyboard position. And you can see that it's just a flat line. So what we're going to do is shittles. I forgot the part where I had to put this in here, but I can do that. I can just put 12 in here. And come on. Oh, there totally used to be a way to do this. I have to get audio into here. I'm using I'm an idiot. I'm using a freaking one of those patchers. I want to use one of these patchers. I actually have a project that's set up for this, but I want to do this from scratch so people understand what was happening. Speaking of scratch, my voice, good God. And now I gotta do this again. We'll plug in this. So that way. I actually did test earlier using Reactor 6 as a control source for notes in the CV, and it was slightly out of tune from reality. I'm not totally sure why, but that's why I'm not using that right now. All right, so 12 is going in here. This is going out, but we needed to go out differently. So we're going to link up these 4 channels. You're not going out. 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 None of these are going out. And that's because I'm going to manually change their output down here to being the ADAT. This is what this is. This is a SPDIF ADAT business coming out of the back of my interface and going into the thing, which gives essentially 8 outputs of audio. And it really is just straight audio. All this is straight audio. So I'll put, actually, let's name this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Also, it's important to keep your tempo at 128 because I don't feel like being weird. Yeah. So now I come over here and make outputs. This is like, yeah, there it is. Boop, 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 boop. And you, I need to actually make your outputs. So let's see. I guess the sends work. Automatic outputs 1, 2. Okay, so there should be a lot more than this. Oh, that's right. It actually has 6 outputs, which is kind of funny. So, oh yeah, and then boop. What the hell is this? That's notes. How does it get there though? Into here. It doesn't, which is funny. Okay, let's do port 3. Come in here, input port 3. This is so riveting, so exciting. Oh my god, what will he do next? Now he's gonna link his keyboard to MIDI port 3. Oh my god, woo! Kick ass. And there it is. All right. So that, which one of these are outputting? So this is main output, which is output 1, I think. 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, left and right, essentially. Yeah, all right. So that, you see right there, that's a gate signal. And it is lighting up this guy. Look at that. Ah, communicating in the world. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to link that, number 2 here, to the CV input of the VCA. So CV stands for control voltage. And it's literally just an audio signal whose amount, like the level, is put a picture on my voice, that'd be funny. This is letting us control the CV, rather the level. It lets me do that, okay? And this knob controls essentially how high that goes. I'm gonna check it out. I don't have pitch. That's what the second thing is for. We're going to calibrate the oscillator. So now that's going out the output. That output is going into patcher, which is going into silent wave. So when I do calibrate volt to octave, which is the pitch standard that most of these run on, it's called 1 volt per octave, which is essentially saying that for every voltage level of power it detects, that's 1 octave worth of pitch. So you divide voltage to create semitones. Fan. And to do that. And I forgot the part where I actually had to take the 1 volt octave and put it in there so it could change it. So the way that's the second, that's what's supposed to come out number 1 there, is the 1 volt per octave. So we have to go number 1 into the 1 volt input of the oscillator. And now we can do that. And now it's tuned. Ugh. Yep. So we got ourselves tuned 1 volt per octave. So now, like, this particular oscillator is actually tuned right. If I were to layer a real synth against it, it would sound correct. However, the rest of the oscillators are not. And they're just kind of tuned to whatever they're tuned. But if I were to take this same 1 volt signal and put it in their 1 volt, they would be essentially the same out of tune for all the notes, which is an important consideration when you realize in modular world that all signals are control signals, including audio signals. So even just a sine wave could be a control signal, which is you'd be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, of course, well, LFOs, that's what that is. And you're absolutely right about that. And in the analog world, LFOs could be as fast as you want. It could be as fast as the fastest thing that's ever been fast. Yeah. All right. So now we have essentially the most basic synth voice ever. Because when I hit a note, gate opens up the volume. Because even if I'm not playing, it's actually still outputting, right? Because I can still come in here and turn on the regular volume. It's still outputting out. And then this guy, the Silent Way, is putting out essentially a DC offset. Just putting out a straight level that doesn't change or move anywhere. And it only changes when I change pitch, and then it's just increasing the loudness of that particular flat sample sound, rather, which the 1 volt per octave input interprets as, change in data. And it's pretty great. So this is how we're going to make all the sounds that we're going to make. Yup. Now, there is some fun stuff we can do with this. So let's, for example, make a kick. That's the thing that we should do. How do I do this? This file can stay here the way it is. So I said sort of all signals are control signals. And one sort of fun consequence of that is that using the Expert Sleepers module, I can just send signals out of FL into it, and it'll just take it. So like if I were to just go to something here and just play sideways, which we can't hear because it's coming out here, I can just take that citrus patch and just like straight plug it into anything. And it'll actually just do the job according to its signal. So this is how very useful this thing is. We're actually going to use that to our advantage when we make a kick. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the DC offset. I was talking about. Sorry, I was cracking my back. You can do that in Citrus by going to a square wave and then turning it on to half mode. So now it's just going to output level essentially the whole time. And you can actually use this to control things. So like if I actually went to volume on this thing and mod X'd it like this, and I just put 4 into like pulse width over here. It's now controlling that parameter. So this is how I can actually use automation clips to control parameters from inside FL. It's pretty great. Now, so if I want to make a kick, I actually have to control pitch a bit differently. And I'm going to do that straight with Citrus here. Now, channel 4 is the one doing this. So I don't actually need... let's not have mod X involved in here. Let's have the envelope. We just do one of these. Let's make you a sine wave. You're not long enough. We were clipping just then. Okay. So now that we have that, I'm gonna pan this. So it's only coming out of actually the one channel I want to use, and then I could use number 2 here as the volume level for the same thing. I'm going to link this to where I linked the gate. Yeah, so just straight up. So, this is happening. Although, you want to see something interesting. That's something important when we're talking about when we're doing things with Citrus, hiding it behind this stupid thing. I gotta remember where things are. Let's look at a recording of what this output looks like right now. And we're gonna do that by showing it straight as of what it comes out of here. I should hear that. That should be a sound it's making. There it is. So that's the sound that's coming out of Citrus, essentially, to go and control the modular. That's a fun signal. And there it is. You can see it, essentially. But let's look at the this business. Bam. Now, that doesn't really look like that, does it? It's really not what's happening. And that's because we're not using high quality envelopes. Not so much of the anti-aliasing, that doesn't really matter, but the high quality envelopes matter in a sense because now when I'm doing it. It's a little bit different, but not exactly better, and it's kind of annoying because I've done this before, and it's always better when we have high quality envelopes. So make it really small like this. God damn it. God damn it. There's always gonna be a little. There we go. So you can kind of see this like kind of angled business going on down here. This is what it looks like on normal envelopes. This is also why in Harmor, whenever I gauge envelope granularity, this is what this solves. Because then when you have high quality envelopes, it's a bit more round. That's important. That's an important consideration to make when you're controlling the analog stuff because those little angles matter. It will change the tone of the things. It's also worth pointing out that the analog, like the analog equivalent of what we're doing right now, because we're putting out envelope. This is an envelope that we're putting out. And if we were to put out this envelope, like with an analog piece of gear, it wouldn't need this. Its curve would be perfect. So let's make a kick here. I actually have to come in here and make this poly rather mono because if I also gotta do this. So the signal actually stops when I tell it to. There we go. Now it's not gonna overlap. Yeah. Okay. Now let's try and get this to actually work. And for help, let's have this here. There's our kick coming out of essentially this guy. That's really as low as I can go, huh? This is what I'm talking about. Like, if I focus too long on this would just be 10 videos of this. definitely gotten this to go farther before. Oh wait, because it's not loud enough. So this actually isn't going all the way up to 0 dB, which means that we're not getting the full level of actual like output that we want. There we go. That's the entire range I was thinking about. Oh. So, sine waves are exactly the cleanest things by default. Sometimes they are, but most often not. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it inside a filter, and we're going to low pass it. Just put it in this regular filter over here. I'm not going to try super hard to use the Korg filter, a Korgasmatron, not literally a Korg filter. It is based on a Korg filter, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so now we're going to take the 1 volt that's controlling the pitch, and we're also going to put that into the CV of the filter. So now we're going to note that that filter is going to follow essentially the same kick pattern, the kick motion. I can't tell if I'm moving in the right direction. I put it in CV2 because it allows me to change the polarity, but I guess I should probably just put it in CV1. So the way I've done this is I'm using something called a stack cable. A stack cable is just a regular cable, only it's got another input on it. And this allows us to take an output of something and be like, this is going somewhere and somewhere else. And it perfectly clones it in a clean signal, so I can go and put it someplace else. Can I feed audio to the PC to the filters? Yes, yes I can. And boy will I. Okay, so that's the wrong direction. This is the right direction. Now we're getting somewhere. I'm not even really sure I could use something like this. That didn't really work the way I thought it would. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it is still pretty lasery. Probably gonna have to layer this against something that's a bit clickier. There we go. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna layer it against another sound, which I will make. Look at that weird analog waveform. Layering, layering. All right. I probably could have actually done like another module at once doing this, but that I think would be needlessly complicated. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially make it click. And the way that's going to work is I'm going to keep doing precisely what I'm doing, only now I'm going to fuck it up. That was creepy. Yeah, okay. So, what would the best way to do this? FM. FM will be the best way to do this. I'm not totally a fan of what happens when you FM this particular oscillator, though. So what I'm going to do, actually, is take the 1 volt and put it into this thing. Because nothing about that will be stable. Yeah. This is the DPO. I don't actually know what DPO stands for, if it does stand for anything. But, it's pretty freaking great. Take your final out here and just go straight out. I actually need filters for this. Yep. Yep. Okay. Turn off the mod. We're going to come over here, and we're going to go flap. So now for this, I'm just going to keep the recording on, because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of usable ideas from this. Dual prism oscillator? Huh. All right, so what we got here is two oscillators, right? Oscillator 1, oscillator 2. I put mine into the 1 volt over here. And this controls the pitch of this whole thing. That's not tuned at all. It doesn't necessarily matter, though, because what I want is essentially inharmonic, just like knives coming out of it. And that's happening quite nicely. And this is just because I have the envelope on this coming out really small. But that's what that sounds like if I leave it on over like longer than a second. Hence that. These white knobs control modulation amount. So there's two different sections of this now. There's this part, this is the wave shaper section. And this controls the modulation input from oscillator 2 over here onto a final output of the wave shape coming here. There's various parameters and everything. And then the white knob just controls how much range of oscillation is coming from the modulation. And over here, these white knobs mean the same thing. It's modulation from this oscillator to this oscillator on this side, and this oscillator to that oscillator on this side, which means they're FMing each other. It's actually kind of insane. And there are two different kinds of FM. There's linear FM and exponential FM. And I actually forget the technical difference between the two, but there is a difference. I'm doing both. This is the FM bus from outside, so it's not actually doing anything if I don't have anything plugged in. Same thing with this guy. Real quick, I'm gonna make a tiny change to how this is working. Nah. Ta-da. I think we got enough. Oh, look at this. It absolutely just doesn't care where the zero crossing is. I love that about this. It just doesn't care at all. I swear it is. It's just all like, I'm going to go where I want to go. And I realized I didn't start my timer for this part. That could be kind of annoying, although it took me sort of a while to begin. I have no idea how long I've been going on. Huh. I think I'll just try doing a kick, and then that'll be kind of the end of this part. So, these are probably more like what I want. Like those guys, and like over here. I'm gonna take this whole thing. Just take it out of here. All right, so we got our bottom bits and our top bits. We're essentially going to go surfing. So let's actually be a little bit more on point about this. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Did I put you somewhere? I did. I didn't put you anywhere though. Bam. Oh my God. Relax. This annoyingly doesn't seem to want online. That's okay though, we got ways of dealing with that. Look at that, fucking pizza. Makes me want to have pizza. That was a little more like what I want. Let's keep him there as a candidate. Let's actually try to mix these. All right, so we got bottom bit, top bit. I don't have an EQ with the master. This could work. It just needs to be a bit reined in. Oh, that's actually what I want to do. Let's just cut this right there. So that I can do one of these. And you meet kind of a similar problem. If I were a smart person, I'd be doing this in like Edison or something, but I don't know if I care. Come back here with you. I'm just like, there we go. Now it's a party. It's almost too high. Now it's too low. I don't even know. But whatever. Kick. Kick get. Why is he always gotta be with the spectrum thing? I mean, I know why. It's because I tell it to, but come on. And kick sample. Hooray. I'm probably not even going to use this, honestly, because like it sounds neat now, but still not as good as like, you know, your average professional sample that you can find in a pack somewhere. Which is, I mean, and I could bring it there, but again, I don't want to spend 200 hours making this particular sample because that's not what people want to see. So I don't even know what time it is, but we're going to stop for this part. So for those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for watching part number 1 where we do nothing. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all the good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.